The desert night was still when the video came. No warning, no context, just a grainy feed shoved onto a secure line. My daughter, 16, tied to a chair, tears streaking her face. 7 men in masks circled her, laughing. One pressed a knife under her chin. Another read the demand. 500,000 in 48 hours, or she dies. I didn't move, didn't breathe, only watched, memorizing every voice, every gesture, every careless slip of detail they thought was hidden. My general stood beside me, arms crossed, his voice low, calculated. "Sergeant, you've got a week of classified training exercises stateside. Make it look like an accident. No hesitation, no moral speeches, just orders." 2 hours later, I had their addresses. They had 40 hours left to live. The betrayal wasn't the kidnapping, not entirely. It was what I discovered beneath it. Because the deeper I dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't random. They hadn't stumbled across my family by chance. They had been pointed there, directed. Someone fed them my name, my daughter's school, my schedule in Afghanistan. The betrayal was inside the wire, and betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. You expect an enemy to come for you. You don't expect your own to light the path. Every lead I followed whispered the same truth. This wasn't just a ransom. It was leverage, a message to me, to the general, to the institution that owned us both. They wanted to prove we could be broken, but they chose the wrong man. I studied them quietly, methodically. Phone pings, utility bills, vehicles parked too long in places they didn't belong. The 7 men weren't professionals, they were scavengers. Drunk on the idea of easy money, blind to the storm circling them. But behind them, there was someone sharper. Someone feeding them confidence, assuring them the Navy SEAL in the desert wouldn't touch them. They didn't know me, not really. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. I moved through the hours like a ghost, tracing every thread back to the hand that tied the knot. And in the quiet moments, when rage burned too hot to swallow, I thought of her, my daughter's eyes, the way she used to laugh, free, unbroken. They thought fear would paralyze me. It only focused me. The truth snapped into place 28 hours before their deadline. One of the men bragged on a recorded call, drunk, sloppy. He slipped a name he shouldn't have. And just like that, the shadow behind the curtain had a face. Not a stranger, not a foreign hand. A man I had once trusted. A man who wore the same uniform I did. He'd sold me out. For money, for leverage, for reasons I no longer cared to hear. I printed the proof. Phone records, transfers, messages laced with contempt. That night, I placed the evidence on his desk. No words, just the weight of paper and truth between us. His face drained, his lips moved, excuses, denials, desperation. I stayed silent, because silence is heavier than rage. The men who touched my daughter never saw dawn. Each death marked, each moment planned, each final breath quiet enough to never reach the morning news. But the betrayal required more. It required precision. I didn't confront him with fists or bullets. That would have been mercy. Instead, I laid the proof where it would hurt most. The general, the board, the people whose approval he had built his career upon. They read every word, saw every number, knew every truth. By noon, he was stripped of rank. By evening, he was forgotten. A name turned to ash in the same halls he once ruled. I passed him in the corridor as security led him out. His eyes begged for acknowledgement, a shred of recognition. I gave him nothing. My daughter is safe now. She doesn't ask questions, doesn't know the details, and she never will. She smiles again, but it's softer, tempered, touched by shadows. Innocence once stolen doesn't return whole. Sometimes I wonder if mine ever did. The men are gone, the traitor erased. The silence between me and the general says more than words ever could. But inside, the storm hasn't quieted. It has only gone still, waiting. Because I learned something in those 40 hours. Trust is fragile. Loyalty is currency. And betrayal is the only debt that never clears. They thought they'd taken my daughter, but in the end, I took everything from them, and I didn't even raise my voice.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.